Prescription products require completion of an online medication consultation with an independent healthcare provider through the LifeMD platform and are only available if prescribed. Subscription required. Individual results may vary. Additional restrictions apply at lifemd.com. Read all warnings before using GLP-1s. Side effects may include a risk of thyroid C-cell tumors. Do not use GLP-1s if you or your family have a history of thyroid cancer.
If you've struggled for years to lose weight and have given up hope, did you know you can now access GLP-1 prescription medications through LifeMD? LifeMD is now offering eligible patients online access to GLP-1s, the breakthrough prescription medication that can help you lose body fat and weight. Listen to what people are saying.
I've been able to live my normal lifestyle, and I've lost 20 pounds already. It changed my life.
I wasn't expecting it to shut off the food noise. This was life-altering, and if I can do it, I feel like anybody can do it.
And here's the best part. Your insurance may cover 100% of the cost of your medication. So go to trylifemd.com to have your eligibility checked right now. Get started today at trylifemd.com. That's TRYLIFEMD.com.
O'Reilly! You've got questions? O'Reilly Auto Parts has answers. Need a pro you can trust? We've got that too. No matter what you need, our professional parts people have the training and expertise to help you do things right. Deep automotive knowledge. Just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. The professional parts people.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Welcome to the Idaho Sheriff live stream broadcast with Dan Wilson for Kootenai County Sheriff. I'm your co-host and producer, Dawna Wilson. I'm here to screen your questions and comments. We're going to discuss all things liberty without compromise. And as always, we are the only flim-flam free broadcast in all of Kootenai County. Take a moment right now to share this live stream. We are live, so share it now to your profile. And to send your questions or comment through today and put them into the comment section on whichever platform you're joining us tonight, whether that's Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram. For the most interactive full screen experience, be sure to watch on Facebook or YouTube. For those listening back on our podcast, thank you so much. And anybody can subscribe and listen to our podcast on whichever platform you get those shows. Remember also to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's The Idaho Sheriff. And then like and follow our Facebook page. That one can be a little bit tricky. Now here's the only sheriff candidate in Kootenai County endorsed by Sheriff Richard Mack, retired Brigadier General Blaine Holt, former heavyweight champ David Nino Rodriguez, and backed by both current and retired law enforcement from all over the West Coast. Also right here in Kootenai County. This is Dan Wilson.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. To all my supporters, those that are on the fence that want to find out what Dan Wilson is and believe in liberty without compromise, friends throughout the region, and haters. It's important that we welcome our haters because we know that they're watching and they are adamantly listening.
And what would this be without resistance?
Oh, I know.
What
I
are
love
we
it.
really without resistance?
It's lightweight.
Not much.
Now, I have to say, we are less than 2 weeks away from the big decision. And if you're anything like most people that I'm talking to in Kootenai County right now, we're getting our DMs full, our emails, text messages of people who they themselves and their families have voted for me, Dan Wilson. They voted early. I think we're looking very, very favorable right now.
How many days to the election? You might have just said that.
13 days.
I was kind of like messing around with the computer here.
Yeah.
We're getting down to the wire.
It's been a long 10 months. Actually, we started a year ago, but we didn't really start campaigning until January-ish after Christmas. But it's hard to believe that after all of these months, all the adventures and all the miles that we have driven all around this great county, that we are nearing the end. And it's bittersweet. So
it is, because one way or the other, no matter the outcome, things change for the better.
Yes.
And so that will be bittersweet regardless of the outcome. What are some things, what other reminders do we have
signs
coming up tonight?
Have you seen our signs all over the county? They have been popping up. We've had numerous new 6x6 banners out on major highways this week. If you see one, take a picture, send it in. We will repost it on Instagram, Facebook. What other, I guess, Twitter? I don't know. Maybe we'll do it on Twitter. But we have put out now almost 600 yard signs. We're down to our last box. We don't know that we're going to get any more, but if you really want them, we have them right now at Patriot Hangout, Coeur d'Alene, across from Costco South. We have them at Survival Enterprise up in Hayden off of Government Way. And I think there's still a few left up at Westwood Guns in Rathdrum. So if you want those, they're ready. The t-shirts, we're not wearing our t-shirts tonight, but our Liberty Without Compromise, Dan Wilson for Kootenai County Sheriff Apparel. You can find that online. You can also give online. Yes, we are still taking donations. We have billboards, electronic billboards up all over the county. We have radio ads. We are getting down to the wire, and it's important that we finish strong. So thank you to those who have continued to give this entire time, not only monetarily, but the hard work. Our volunteers are undefeatable.
They are.
And I think of the hard work of Ann. Ann has been stuffing things for quite a while and getting ready to hand out our rack cards. We have Terry and Jim and the countless, I'm going to forget names, but the countless number of you out there that are helping us.
Well, Terry, who's been helping us with sign waving locations, dates, times, getting that communication out to our team. And that's like herding cats. Yeah. So she has served in an invaluable capacity on our team for months. And we know we've made lifelong friends in this process.
Grammy, you've been coming out. We sure appreciate you. Les, Grizz, we've got Jim. Jim's the one who has the truck that is fully decked out. Full Idaho Sheriff. He went and decided he wanted to promote the Idaho Sheriff, Dan Wilson. And the Idaho Sheriff, by the way, for all the haters out there who are so out of your mind because I dare to call myself the Idaho Sheriff. Anyway.
When you're being intellectually honest, they all know it's a marketing campaign.
But Jim has decked out his entire F-250. Now, I know a couple of the haters are speculating that it's my truck.
It's your truck.
Jim is a disabled veteran that served his country honorably. So when you're making fun of the truck that is being parked in the ADA stalls, I hope you all know that that is a American warrior. And he does have every right lawfully and morally to be there. So thank you, Jim, for all of your help. Look, early voting is taking place right now. Go out and vote early. It makes it harder for them to cheat, as I've been told. Now, again, I'm not a statistician. I don't know how this works, but we're being told that they want people to go out and vote early. If you vote by mail, absentee, hold on to your ballot. Don't put it in the mail. Now, there was something that I read about today here locally that the KCRCC's voting guides were found in a dumpster way out off of a highway, bundled up still. So, the U.S. Postal Service sometimes has issues. I have no idea who is responsible for it, but when it comes to the ballot, take your ballot directly down to the elections office so that it can be properly handled and counted. So, yeah, we're looking for you to spread the message to anybody and everybody to vote for Dan Wilson. The Norris campaign seems to be imploding.
Possibly. While you're getting ready to tell us how they're imploding, I want to thank you to Ivan Tacoma over on Instagram for joining us tonight. Says, good evening, sir. Good to see you.
Ivan, man, he and I worked together years ago on a presidential candidate security detail.
Bunting Robert on Instagram. Good to hear about his home for 20 years. So I think some people join in our live stream due to being homesick, leaving the best place that there could be.
You can always come back.
Probably hope to come back to Liberty Without Compromise. Thank you for saying that, Jerry. And remember too, those Liberty Without Compromise t-shirts are good forever and ever, regardless of the outcome of an election. So you can get those, as Dan was saying earlier, on the website at theidahosheriff.com. Les, thanks for joining us. We see you there. Vote Dan Wilson, Kootenai County Sheriff, he says. So a reminder for those of you just joining us, because we had a bunch jump in. You can put your comments or questions. We may not be getting to as many questions tonight, but definitely chime in with your comments as we go in the comment section on whichever platform you're watching, and I can share those up on the screen as we interact together. So now, the implosion,
and we're going to talk about this as you pull up the law enforcement endorsement page of the Idaho Sheriff, because I failed to queue that up. Okay. You may already have it, but I do want to remind my friends, whether you are active law enforcement or you are retired and you want to support me and add your name to our list, contact us at info@theidahosheriff.com. We will gladly add your credentials to our list. Now, I understand some of my friends, active law enforcement, don't want to say what agency they are with, but all my friends out there that are active law enforcement, look, all you have to do is say your name and say you support me. We're more than happy to put that on, and we love the list that's growing by the week.
There was a declaration that was put together that the idea is that these law enforcement people signed their name to this declaration, and then some of them have testimonials that they've put beyond that. So I'm just scrolling through this page here, as Dan was saying, if you want to add your name to that.
Yeah, some great names on that. And, you know, we have some of KCSO's finest retired that really understand what's going on. They understand the history of the entire office, from the jail to patrol. So, hey, look what they have to say. They were there. They have firsthand experience. And hopefully Norris won't send any more goons to go to try to change those that are supporting me's votes from Wilson
send them to their doorstep.
Because they've done that. They've actually done that. Yeah.
Now, why don't you speak real quickly to the fact that you have some from, you took some heat right when that list came out. You know, you're being watched, that you've got retired law enforcement from LA.
Well,
and how
the
dare
FOP.
you?
It's the FOP. So look, we all know that the FOP are the misbehaving children of the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office. They are Bob's bad boys. And really what's going on there is they have to keep Bob in office. That's their sole mission right now. The PAC was formed in 2020. They revamped the Deputy Sheriff's Association to the Fraternal Order of Police, and they raise money to what? Keep Bob elected. And Bob allows them to use the Kootenai County Sheriff's star as, you know, part of their mailer to make it look legit, like it's coming from the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office. Highly unethical and immoral. But so the FOP, they don't like me. I've been giving them grief for the entire year. And so they put out a recent post where
they started it.
Well, they absolutely did. They absolutely did start it. They don't like when light is shined on their bad behavior. So no surprise there. But they recently put out a post criticizing all the law enforcement professionals that were endorsers of mine, and they disparaged them because they're from Southern California or other parts of California or Texas or wherever, but they took exception to California because they are lying. Let's call it what it is, FOP brothers. It's lying. What I said a year ago was I have a issue with certain Southern California law enforcement, which include direct friends of Brett Nelson's, who worked with Brett Nelson at Santa Ana PD, who is coming on to every social media page and completely being a nuisance, posting crap that is not true, disparaging my service, claiming things over and over again. They started it. And so I asked a question. You can go back all the way to, I think it's December. I'm outside in a cowboy hat and a sweatshirt. It's got about 300,000 views. And I just said, why are so many from Southern California law enforcement that are up here right now trying to hold on so tightly to the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office? Never said anything disparaging about any cop that comes from California. It's absurd. I've said it over and over again, but I'll say it again for the millionth time. I respect law enforcement that comes from any location, but I have a real problem with those that have consolidated their power, and our entire agency right now is being run by 2 Southern California career cops. And this is Idaho culture. We do not want the California culture of especially the Baca Tanaka regime up here. Now, Mike Bauer was part of LASD before the Baca Tanaka scandal, when it was a reputable agency, before it became corrupt. So, when these deputies are spun up because there are good California cops that served honorably and they are up here and they're supporting me, well, you guys will have to put a sock in it, because it doesn't matter. The truth is there. I've always supported law enforcement from wherever they've come. I just don't like those drifters that have come from Southern California and are attempting to take over our culture in the sheriff's office specifically. So I don't know if I can get any clearer than that.
What do you say to those who wonder, why can you, Dan Wilson, not just concede that the LA sheriff, undersheriff, they're here, but look, they're bringing their high-speed experience, not bad culture, just the experience that they have at a high-speed agency, and Kootenai County needs that because of the expected growth.
Who says they're high-speed? It's a totally different environment. Southern California law enforcement, completely different than Northern Idaho. I mean, you think about just how cram-packed that entire Southern California area is and the types of criminals that they're dealing with all the time. There is a certain law enforcement mentality and bravado that goes on down there, but that is not North Idaho. North Idaho, we have good people up here. We are independent people. We are a free people, and we don't want that cocky, pompous atmosphere, those attitudes rather, from some of those Southern California agencies up here trying to take those same tactics up into conservative North Idaho. Now, from patrol procedure standpoints, fine, all day long. We'll train, and I love anything that will make our jobs better, make deputies better at what they do. But we don't want that environment, especially not the pay-to-play. And Bob Norris has brought the pay-to-play model up here. We've been exposing it all year long. All you have to do is go to theidahosheriff.com, look at the articles on the helicopter program, the license plate readers. You can look at Bob Norris and his contributions that he received from famous Los Angeles hamburger stand, Tam's Burgers, where they were laundering money to political candidates, including then Sheriff Villanueva back in 2018. Villanueva had to plead guilty. I believe he pled guilty to 2 misdemeanors over receiving campaign donations. And at the same time frame, they were sending money from Southern California all the way up to Bob Norris here in North Idaho. And the question is, why is somebody from Southern California interested in maximum donations to a sheriff's race up in
because
North
they're
Idaho?
Friends and they want to see to his well-being.
Yeah, but no illegal campaign donations there, right? No laundered campaign donations there. So anyway, that's what I say.
The past couple of weeks have been really exciting because local media has picked up a lot more on this sheriff's race. And it's given you an opportunity through those interviews, not because you've had a lot of them over the last 10 months, both local and national. But it's fun when we see it come back locally because they're asking questions that are so specific to this race and how it affects this county. And you've been able to really show what your plans and policies are for that office. So KXLY did a great interview. And then we've had, because of the lack of debate, the people in our county have not been able to see candidates side by side, fairly side by side. We're going to address that here in a little bit. Yeah. But first, I want you to share with us some of the things that have come out in these local interviews, all available on our website, again, theidahosheriff.com, when you're discussing what your plans are for the first 90 days in office and then on and forward from that. Yeah,
I do want to give a shout out, though, to KHQ because they also came out, and I think of all the stations I've been interviewed by so far, KHQ is the most professional, the most thorough and fun to be around. So hats off to KHQ there. Okay, so what we've been able to talk about is specific problems inside the sheriff's office. One of the things that I'm very, very concerned about is not only the culture inside the sheriff's office, because the continual losing of employees. Overall, in the sheriff's office, we are 50 employees down. There's over 20 in jail that we're deficient in. 911 operators, we're having a heck of a time. In fact, 911 has been such a problem that the sheriff's office had to go before the Board of County Commissioners a few weeks ago and request $260,000 for retention bonuses to keep the existing operators there so that they don't quit. And that's about a dozen or so operators, close, I think, $20,000 a piece for these retention bonuses. The environment is toxic. Patrol's down about 5-6 deputies right now. But one of the immediate things that we have to fix besides the jail, and I'm going to get back to that in a second, is 911. When you call 911, wherever you are at in the county, you have to be assured that when you pick up the phone, you're not going to hear a busy signal or can you hold or it doesn't answer. You need to have an operator answer and appropriately assign whatever resources need to start coming your way immediately. And in the first 90 days, my transition team and I, specifically my undersheriff, we already have a plan that we're going to fix this problem in the first 90 days. So that's one of the things that I've been glad to share with the public. The other problem that we have, of course, is jail staffing. Now, I've talked with many jail deputies, both current and former, and they will tell you that the existing environment is extremely dangerous. Number one, they're working 12-hour shifts, and these 12-hour shifts grow into 16-hour shifts with forced overtime. Guys are getting burnt out. It's dangerous, and we just cannot have our deputies working in a constant, stressful, dangerous environment with no end in sight, and that has to be fixed. And the only way that we retain deputies, now Bob's saying, well, we just can't hire anybody, but you're losing deputies, Bob. I mean, you've lost 8 this year, and that is a considerable amount. Where are they going? You've already gotten the raises. They are leaving because of cultural issues right here in the sheriff's office. And we're going to change that culture. So that is 2 of the things that I've been passionate about sharing with the public. And I think that it's something that is not talked about because Bob can just run around and try to paint, he'll say, well, we're going to fail our jail inspection again, but we really need more impact fees and we need more sales tax so that people can pay their fair share and we don't have to put all the burden on the homeowners. And, we need to build another jail. And that's just simply... Well,
and building another jail when you can't staff the one that you've
right?
got and you're
there
talking
you
about expansion. And his response to this very recently, I believe it was in that KXLY interview, so you guys can check that out and hear it for yourself. But he said... Kids don't, at a younger age or high school, you're thinking about career, you don't dream about becoming a deputy in a jail or working in a jail. You want to be an officer of the law. You imagine yourself in uniform out on the street. And so he really lined that out as the biggest thing getting in the way between him and staffing that jail.
Yeah, well,
or it was the only reason
culture.
He gave.
Look, if it's any indication on how he treats constituents, like in this lawsuit that we're going to talk about in a minute, there is no wonder the dysfunction that's inside the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office. And I know a deputy that just recently quit. So that deputy said, I ain't waiting. I'm out of here. I'm just done. The other thing, I'm going to quickly go over some of my ideas. The Dan Wilson administration is going to immediately implement a vetted citizens posse. And this is where anybody from the county that can pass a basic background and has any kind of skill set, I don't care what color, race, ethnicity, religion, whatever you are, if you are part of the county as a citizen and want to be part of our posse, we welcome you. We're not going to give you a badge. We're not going to give you a gun, but we are going to catalog who has expertise in what, so that in any kind of an event, man-made or natural, we are ready to go. I've been saying this for a year, and I've said we cannot, in any kind of a natural and or man-made disaster, wait for the federal government to come. We can't wait for the state government to come. We are our own first responders. Nobody's coming. It's up to us. And I think that I'm being proven right on this. As we talked, I think a week or two ago, what's going on in North Carolina after the hurricanes.
Yeah. So, I mean, we have proof looking in our face as to what happens when you either
when the federal government came in
for them or waiting for them to come in. And then when they do, they make a mess of it.
Yeah. Basically, the federal government has come in and done nothing but screw everything up and cause a lot more chaos. And some of the sheriffs are just flat out saying, yeah, don't even come. Don't even come. We, the people, will take care of it. Private sector will take care of it. And look, I want everybody in this county to be secure. I don't care if we have different beliefs and worldviews. I care about the citizens of this county because you're an American. You are part of the country. We we join arms with those in our community. That's just the way it is. And we respectfully can argue our positions at another time, but this sheriff is going to protect everybody's rights as found in the Bill of Rights: life, liberty, and property, equal protection under the law. In a disaster, you do not want to lose the rule of law. If you lose the rule of law, it's pretty dire straits. And we've heard that the DOD signed a new order, and I didn't plan on talking about this, and we may talk about it later, but it's DOD order 5240.01. It might be 5204, but I think it's 5240.01, whereby they are giving permission, authority to use lethal force assisting federal law enforcement. So direct violation of posse comitatus. I don't know how they can justify this. It's heinous, it's treasonous. But look, we don't want the feds coming into our area to try to fix us. We have to be our own first responders. So we're going to do that. And part of my Citizens Posse is we are, and I should say in conjunction, because they're separate, but they're part of my volunteer service division that I'll be implementing, is this: a deputy reserve program. We live in Copland. There are so many retired law enforcement officers from every kind of agency that are up here, including California. Do I need to say that again? Including California.
Yeah, probably just need to keep saying it.
Where, Idaho laws are such that we can capitalize on willing individuals that have recently retired and still want to do the job, that will come to work for us for free. They do the basic background prerequisites. We get them in a car, we can FTO them. But here's the best part: these are men and women who already have decades of experience or several years, but don't need to be trained like you're coming fresh out of an academy. And this is a absolute bolster to the Kootenai County Sheriff's deputies. It allows them to be free to do more law enforcement activities. They double up in cars. It's safer for the citizens, and it's definitely safer for the deputies. So I'm looking forward. I've already spoken to so many who have seen the vision and want to be a part of it. And why hasn't Bob Norris and Bruce Matari capitalized on it? To hear them, they say it's impossible because they're looking at it from a standpoint of just bringing in brand new recruits and running them through an academy. That's ridiculous. As they say, it takes about $105,000 to bring in a new full-time deputy to go through the academy, get the training, and then be out on the street. Well, here's what we do. We already use the resources we have right here and the decades upon decades of vast knowledge and experience. Look, how many of my friends currently are retired law enforcement, and I trust my life with any of those guys.
And we were out at a town hall in Cataldo last night, and you met a retired.
Well, I don't want to say. I don't want to call him out, but he's retired law enforcement.
No, I didn't want to call him out. It's more. It speaks more to the fact of you have people stepping up saying, "I will be on a part of your reserve program."
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, not calling out anybody specifically.
I just said absolutely.
Absolutely, 100%.
Okay,
there you go.
But that's not a lie for me.
We have comments coming in. I'm sharing these up on the screen. You guys keep the comments. We're not going to do as many questions tonight if we get to those at all. We got a lot to talk about, but I'm going to keep putting your comments up so that we're sharing those together. But Roberta said voted early in person and voted for Dan. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Roberta.
And we've got a bunch of you joining us over on Instagram tonight. So, what somebody asked on Instagram, what percentage of Kootenai County are deputies from California?
I have asked that question, and Kootenai County Sheriff's Office in my records request refused to disclose that.
That's why I wanted to send you.
Yeah, absolutely refused. Look, there's a lot more to talk about it. Most of what I would have to say is going to go over the vast majority's head, so it's not worth having this discussion right now. But let me tell you, it is messed up. Bob Norris has created a mess of the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office, despite what a few of those deputies that are part of the FOP, the executive board, want to tell you otherwise, the ones that are benefiting from these favors that Bob's done. He has completely disrupted that office, and it is not good. Now, I'm going to finish up with a few other things that I want the people to know who maybe have not had a chance to listen to me much or to see my viewpoints. I'm also a firm believer in financial responsibility. Business owner, commercial construction, highly successful for 25 years. And I think that it is time that the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office is audited from top to bottom with a forensic audit to include inventory, so we truly know where all the dollars are going and what everybody's doing. before we go to the taxpayers. And it's the same thing that we have to do in business. We have to be solvent. Our books have to be audited all the time. Now is the time to get a businessman in here who take a fresh look at things and figure out what we're wasting, what we need to be realigned in order to maintain good pay for the deputies, because that needs to be first and foremost if we're going to talk about budgetary issues where we are going to take care of the county. That means there's other things that we will be cutting in order to balance that, because I like a current county commissioner that's running as an independent who says, what a concept. Instead of starting at the same dollar amount that the current budget is and then building up from there. No, it's time for cuts. And people say it can't happen. Watch me. Hold my beer, so to speak, or hold my whiskey.
Yeah, and I love how he said start at 0 and work your way up instead of starting at whatever ridiculous number we've gotten ourselves to that goes up by 3% every year and working your way up from that baseline. Yeah. But let's make 0 the baseline again and reevaluate this entire budget.
So my transition team, to include my wonderful undersheriff, we are going to hit the ground running. We have a lot to do in the first 30 days, 60 and 90 and 6 months. So there's going to be a realignment inside the office. We're going to remind deputies that work at the Cooney County Sheriff's Office and those that are support staff. This is a calling. It's not a job. Now, you will get compensated fairly for that. We will take care of you. But if you're there just to make $1, then you're in the wrong profession. But the Cooney County Sheriff's Office under Dan Wilson is going to be one of extreme ownership, where men and women have the ability to climb and to have a career path forward, to have ownership and authority in what they do, to be able to make decisions as junior leaders in their sphere. So we're going to have a lot of work cut out, but my transition team are outstanding individuals. We're highly excited. And then we're going to go start hunting down child trafficking. So that's just a couple things. We talked about that quite a bit last week, but I think we have a couple other things planned tonight. We're trying to move along fairly quick so we don't totally expend our hour.
Yep. Let's see. Marine Idaho on Instagram says, I support you, Dan. Marine in Idaho, Semper Fi. Thank you, Semper Fi, for joining us. Coeur d'Alene Press published some video interviews that they did where they interviewed candidates. Again, harkening back to what we were saying earlier, we haven't had the benefit of a fair and public debate to see candidates side by side. So at this point, we're taking what we can get and fusing things together and encouraging the community to, hey, go look at these, because it kind of sort of fills in some of the blanks. And Coeur d'Alene Press did a good job of bringing the candidates in and fairly asking the same questions and allowing the same time frame for the answers to. It's
Coeur d'Alene Press in conjunction with the chambers.
Chamber
and Quicksilver. Mm-hmm. Quicksilver guy was awesome, by the way. That photographer,
they
videographer,
they did the videography for those interviews. Mm-hmm. So we've got, and maybe you can lead into this a little bit, so I can pull the page up.
The website.
Just to
so you pulled it up.
Just to show what we've got on the website here that compares
our philosophy
the top two candidates.
Because Bob refused to debate, we need to show you the differences between Bob Norris and Dan Wilson, and what better way to do it than some event like this, where we can pull comparisons, we can publish what each answer is so that people that don't want to watch can read. Sometimes people get more out of reading than listening, but then you can also see the differences between Bob Norris on the subject versus Dan Wilson on the subject. I think you and I were talking about Bob Norris and how much if you have the clip, it's probably best to play that.
I've got the clip. The first thing I'm showing you here on our website is that with the CDA Press Meet the Candidates, we've summarized the opening statements, the comparisons between Bob Norris and Dan Wilson's answers to the questions, summary of those, and then their closing statements. Again, it summarizes it, but then those are also pretty quick to watch, so those videos are here on that page. The other thing, I guess we were going to highlight from when Bob did his interview, and I don't know if you have a lead into that as I
think it's interesting when you run around and you are bragging about your resume, and it includes all the different clubs and associations you are in.
Yeah.
Which means if you have that time to be in that many clubs and associations, obviously, this is why the county looks as bad as... Yeah, let's hear it.
Giving an introduction, you have 1 minute.
Absolutely. My name is Robert Bob Norris. I'm your current sheriff here in Kootenai County, and I am a member of Coeur d'Alene Rotary. I'm a member of the American Legion, member of Coeur d'Alene Eagles. I'm a member of the Vikings here at Coeur d'Alene High. I am a member of many Republican clubs here, and you can often see me at high school football games. I enjoy being your sheriff. The last 4 years, we've been able to reduce crime in the unincorporated and contract cities by 16%. We've had no major deaths, major incidents whatsoever on our waterways.
Okay, stop that real quick.
And we're taking fentanyl out of our community.
We won't obviously key up everything, but he closes by, again, thanking every association that he's involved with, because apparently this is the popular club. And in order to be a sheriff, you have to be along to all these clubs. How many clubs do I belong to?
Yeah.
Like next to nothing?
Cigar club.
Cigar club, yeah. Right?
Did that win you any bonus points?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Steve M will like that, and Brad and Mark. But, you know, I think the funny part about it is that he just said they haven't had any major waterway deaths. There were 2 deaths. And I don't know about you, and especially for family members, but I think that every death is kind of a major death.
Well, yeah, when I found out there were 2 on the waterways, I said, well, maybe those were minor and not major. I mean, why is there a different classification?
He's calling them, they're not major accidents. But yeah, you guys can go to our website. You can download the videos. Tell me what you think. Listen to each. And I'm curious to get your feedback on how you feel Bob Norris versus Dan Wilson did on answering the questions and understanding the substance of the questions being asked. So, are you still typing answers to people?
I'm always typing to people. Yeah. Just doing a double duty here. Now, we had we're going to give you a little bit of a teaser tonight, because there has been a controversial segment that we gave people a peek to a couple of weeks ago, and got created some, I don't know, people got riled up over it.
Well, they're not righteously angry enough.
Yeah.
They're incensed about the wrong things rather than truth.
So we have a community member that was in a comment section of a post that got a lot of traction in one of the local political chat groups. And he figured that a better way to respond to this, because it's the never-ending back and forth, and you're never going to change anybody's mind. And it's very different when you remove somebody.
Shouldn't we kind of talk about so there's these social media groups around. They've created shrines and pages dedicated to me, and it's all the same 20 members back and forth.
You know you're getting somewhere when you have a Facebook page shrine dedicated to you.
The majority of these individuals go to some of the most prominent churches right here in the community that are politically involved. And I would dare to challenge them to find out any of our people that are making the arguments back and forth, saying extremely heinous and disparaging things about sexuality, saying things about appearances, making fun of handicaps and other disabilities, like they were of somebody recently. But the other side does it all the time. And they're all prominent members of local churches, and they like to get on and they like to gossip because it's full of gossip. They spread a lot of lies around. And Mike has taken a lot of flack because Mike is a man that stands for the truth. He owns the Patriot Hangout. You see the Trump flag parade that goes around. Most of those flags are purchased, I believe, from his store, but he's been a great supporter. He was not always a supporter of mine. In fact, he and Bob's dad worked together. So his dad and Bob worked together at LA for a while. His dad was fire. But Mike eventually started seeing the discrepancies of what was being said and what I was claimed to have been saying, and started challenging it. And he's a truth seeker at the end of the day, and he's bold. And so I think you're going to play something that he finally had enough of of a back and forth
he was in with somebody there online. He'd finally had enough of it, and he thought, you know what, this is better that this person can hear my words and hear my heart and hear why I'm so passionate about this topic. So this is just a snippet of that, and something that in an upcoming special segment we're going to be talking more about.
In a lot more detail.
I think you look good sitting there telling me that I'm okay with someone secretly recording a conversation. Do you know the details about that situation as well? Because if you do, you're again manipulating the truth. Dan was forced to air parts of the conversation to clear his name because misinformation was being spread around. It was the pastor, who I like, by the way. You're okay? You say, oh, you're okay with a secret conversation. Yes, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. Because calls are recorded all the time by companies' phones, by recording devices that are designed like dash cams and so on to protect yourself in case, you record an incident or something like that. It happens. And if there's a recording proving that the narrative that is being spun is incorrect, then that person has a right to air it.
I want Mike to know, Dan's going to follow this up, but I want you to know that immediately upon Dan mentioning your name and we're sharing that video, that you've got people chiming in over on Instagram. Mike is a true patriot. Mike is great. He speaks the truth. Yep. So just know that there are so many supporting you. And we know that it's been painful to you and even a hit to your business to take the stand that you have.
Some of these people that are at these local churches, self-proclaimed, and part close with church leadership, have made statements that they want to ruin this man's business because he supports me. And the things that they have said have been completely untrue that they've accused him of. But, we're seeing a great falling away. We're seeing a lot of people that claim the name of Christ and they do not act like it. Now, I've been accused this entire year of doing nothing but running a smear campaign. But here's the difference. I'm bringing out truths. I've provided the evidence. I've shown you the bad behavior of an elected official and those that are surrounding him. If you think that that's the same thing as going below the belt and doing dirty deeds, then we disagree. In fact, Jesus, when he was turning over tables in the temple, I'm certain there were a lot of angry people that were friends of those that ran those tables that would justify all day long that they were providing a service for the temple. And Jesus had no right to come in and say those things, those you brood of vipers. He didn't have to say that, right? Because that was mean. And you guys are so ignorant to what's going on here right now that you refuse because you're already sold out to a candidate, even though repeatedly, time and time again, he has shown himself to not be worthy of the office of the sheriff and the way he has treated people and the dirty deeds that he's done behind closed doors and sometimes publicly. So, Mike, I greatly appreciate your heart. I greatly appreciate you being bold the way you have been. And we are going to run a segment specifically regarding what we have faced here locally with the so-called churches and the extremely bad behavior that is going to come out. Because I think the people of Kootenai County need to understand some of their leaders and what they are saying behind closed doors, not things that I'm making up, things that we can show beyond a shadow of a doubt in their own words, what they really think about. And I'm going to guess that some of you are probably going to say, that doesn't really align with what I thought pastors and staff are supposed to do. So, yeah, stay tuned. That is coming.
Thank you for joining us in this hour. A reminder, you can still share this to your feed as we are live tonight so more can join in and watch because, as promised, we are here tonight with probably pretty much most of the time that we have left talking about a lawsuit that came out recently. It was more made public today. I'm not sure exactly what day it was delivered, but to Bob Norris.
And the county.
And the county.
Yeah.
So how does this affect Bob Norris, his campaign, affect him in his office, affect the county, affect us as citizens?
Those of you that are still on the fence, or maybe you're leaning, you haven't voted yet, but you're leaning towards Bob Norris, you have to listen to this. Now, back in July, the first part of July, a lady by the name of Penny Collinson, filed a tort claim against the county and Sheriff Bob Norris. Now, this tort claim was claims of damages due to comments that Bob Norris made at a public town hall that was held in Cataldo, Idaho, back in the prior to the primary, in April. Many elected officials were there. There was about 50 plus people in the room. And Bob Norris said some extremely heinous things that I was not there. I did not hear it. But there have been many credible people that I have heard firsthand who have substantiated what this woman is alleging, firsthand witnesses. So 3 months, 90 days, the county and Norris has to respond to this tort claim before a lawsuit can be filed if they decide to leave it unanswered. So again, timeline, July 10th, somewhere around there, this tort claim was filed. A week later, after Bob Norris has already been accused of basically harassing this woman, defaming her, what does he do? He uses the full authority of the sheriff's office to refute this woman that claimed that he had, violated her, so to speak. And if we have, I guess it's slide number 7.
Mm-hmm.
He put this out July 23rd, and it's a $10,000 reward for a frivolous lawsuit. He says that Sheriff Norris is being accused in a tort claim of saying derogatory statements towards Penny Ann Collinson at an April campaign event in front of about 50 people. Not only are these allegations false, Sheriff Norris is posting $10,000 of his own money for video proof of such frivolous claims made by Ms. Collinson. Ms. Collinson's allegations are 100% false. The frivolous tort claim is similar to the one filed by failed 2020 sheriff candidate John Grimm before the May 2024 primary. This is another effort to tarnish Sheriff Norris's credibility. He goes on to say, I will not allow political operatives to tarnish my reputation. There is a small group of people who think it's okay to use the judicial system to smear local elected officials, and that needs to stop. So Sheriff Norris is offering $10,000 of his own money for any video evidence that made by his accuser. Sheriff Norris is evaluating all options, including a countersuit where he can seek damages from these false allegations. And when this came out, I put out a video and I said, this is absolute bully. You should not be fearful that if you make a claim against your sheriff, that the sheriff is going to use his office in his official capacity, which he's doing right here. You see the Cooney County Sheriff's letterhead. You see the patch. You see the star. And it's a media release. And he's having Lieutenant Zach Sifford, his public information officer, write this for him. So he's using county resources to attack a citizen that already has filed a grievance against him. Now, I said at the time, whenever you're named in a lawsuit at a county level, the best thing that you need to do is what? Shut your mouth, shut your mouth, shut your mouth.
Absolutely, 100%.
Right, Bob. I agree with you. And he didn't do it. So he made things deeper for him. Well, the 90-day time limit finally expired. And today I received a copy of a lawsuit that was filed against the county and Bob Norris. I think it was actually filed a day or so ago, but it was just made public today. And we're going to go over that real quick, because if you are still undecided on Bob Norris, a career law enforcement officer who claims that he is the best suited to lead the Cooney County Sheriff's Office while he's made a mess of it. These are the things that Norris is involved with. And we have shown a pattern of his irrational behavior, the crying, the constant crying when he's in public. We've shown our collage of those videos, or him getting angry at somebody because they're wearing a t-shirt he doesn't like at a fair, screaming at a constituent to get out of here. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. And we've questioned, is he mentally stable? We know that he had a disability issue from disability retirement, rather, from Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. And we've questioned what was the full extent. He said forever a shoulder injury and a shoulder injury. I pulled up a record the other day that was available to the public that would indicate that he also had a heart issue around 2003. It's listed on a claim for him. Is he fit, emotionally fit to be in this position? It's very, very odd that a sheriff would cry. It's not normal, or have these emotional outbursts. So, lawsuit was filed today it was filed this week rather, by Penny Collinson's attorney. It says in part of the claim, Collinson alleges on information and belief that the actions of Norris, which are the subject of this action, were performed by him individually as sheriff on behalf of Cooney County, Idaho. That's why Cooney County's involved. General allegations. On or about October 23rd, 23, the county, by and through its Kootenai County Sheriff's Office, created a Facebook page entitled Kootenai County Sheriff's Office, hereinafter referred to as Sheriff's Facebook page, whereby the county and the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office could publish information regarding activities of the county and Kootenai County Sheriff's Office. Collinson alleges on information and belief that at all times material, the sheriff's Facebook page is managed and controlled by the county and the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office. Collinson further alleges that the county authorized the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office to use county resources, for example, county paid employees' time, to publish information on the sheriff's Facebook page regarding the county and Kootenai County Sheriff's Office ongoing activities as part of the county and the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office ongoing business operations. Collinson alleges on information and belief that at all times material, the county and the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office maintained restrictions regarding the comments and content which could be posted on the sheriff's Facebook page. Specifically, the restrictions included prohibitions against comments or content containing unprofessional or inappropriate content. The county and the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office also maintained restrictions related to the posting of comments and content on the sheriff's Facebook page, which strictly prohibited content which is defamatory or a personal attack or threats to any person or entity. Obviously, they're building up to say, hey, these have been the standards, and this is what we're going to allege that the sheriff did in violation of his own standards. Here's the meat of it. On April 24th, 2024, Collinson attended a meeting at the Kootenai County Republican Party Candidate Forum meeting in Cataldo, Idaho. Collinson alleges that at this meeting, more than 50 people were in attendance to listen to the candidates running for the position of commissioner of the county and to listen to two candidates running for sheriff of the county, which included Mike Bauer and Norris. At the meeting, Collinson began taking photographs of the various people who were in attendance at the meeting. At one point in the meeting, Norris was invited to address the audience. Norris, through a microphone, began speaking to the audience at the meeting, including making comments about what he had done for the community by removing pornographic books located in the children's section of the library. Then, Norris addressed the audience at the meeting by asking, quote, "Is there anyone 17 years old or younger in this room?" End quote. After making the statement, Norris then stated, quote, "Now we are going to talk about the 14-year-old girl who gave her boyfriend a blank job." End quote. Norris looked around the room and then turned his body to Collinson, pointed to Collinson, who was roughly 6 feet away from Norris, and announced, "Penny Collinson," and then loudly stated to the audience that Penny Collinson likes to give blank jobs and blank sex and photograph child pornography at the local library. Upon hearing the above noted statements made by Norris, there was a pronounced silence coming from the members of the audience who heard the shocking, false, defamatory, and outrageous public statements which had been made by Norris regarding Collinson. We're almost done, folks. On July 10th, 2024, Collinson filed a tort claim with the county regarding Norris's conduct referenced above. A true and correct copy of the tort claim is attached hereto as Exhibit A. As of the date of this action, the county has failed to provide a response to the allegations and claims which Collinson raised in her tort claim. Collinson alleges on information and belief that after the filing of the tort claim, Norris individually and on behalf of the county has publicly made statements and published social media posts and directed third parties to make statements and publish social media posts to publicly portray Collinson as being an untruthful person related to the claims which Collinson raised against Norris in the tort claim. He's raising up his own army of bullies, right, to continue disparaging her. Collinson alleges that in doing so, Norris individually on behalf of the county has engaged in the campaign to have false statements published about Collinson in an effort to ruin her reputation and to intimidate and bully her from pursuing the claims she raised in her tort claim. Collinson alleges that Norris has repeatedly and falsely stated that there was, quote, no evidence, end quote, regarding the claims which Collinson raised in her tort claim in a desperate attempt to cover it up, despite the fact that he is personally aware of the statements which he made about Collinson, which are the subject of the tort claim, and he is aware that individuals who attend the meeting heard and could confirm the statements which Norris made about Collinson, which are subject of the tort claim.
I want to bust in here just that we don't typically read through documentation like that and get kind of dry. So I want to remind you what we are going over. What Dan is just going over are the specifics of a lawsuit that was filed this week, and it's been made public to the more of us today. So there are many more of us who've been able to sit here and read through the 57-page document. Yep. So that can be found so that you can pore over it and get an understanding of what it is that Bob Norris and Kootenai County Sheriff's Office is facing with this lawsuit. And so why don't you continue on as you're discussing that?
And in an attempt not to bore everybody, these we'll check with council, but we'll probably put this online so people can download it. But it talks about, again, those that were in public, and it talks about the fact that the county Bob used county resources, deputies, to write this bounty when he went to attack the woman and to manage the Facebook page and the social media. And then, we look down a little bit later, I think it's around page 19, as some exhibits. We're going to show them again real briefly here. You do have this media release where we talked about just a few minutes ago, the $10,000 reward. It's clear to see this is coming from the county. And then if we go down to page 21 under Exhibit C, you're going to see Bob again doubling down on this. Is it triple down, quadruple down? I don't know at this point.
Yeah.
But he said, day 75 and still no evidence, video evidence of the allegation. I expect to be served any day now. We are ready and preparing a countersuit. In my 30 plus years of public service, I have never been accused of crime, corruption, or sexual harassment until I ran for public office.
He's turning it to that he's the victim. Mm-hmm. What I find interesting is that he's never once answered to, okay, yes, I was there. Here's my this is not correct. Here's my version of events. It's not that at all. Yeah. It's just an accusation is made. I'm not going to answer to it at all. I have bear no responsibility to whatever it was that did happen. Yeah. And there is video footage of this woman being allowed to respond
right after
to something that just clearly just happened in the room that involved Bob Norris, and there was hostility and like a tension in the room.
Well, people got up and left, and what I find interesting reading through this is that some of the people that were in attendance include former sheriff, Cooney County Sheriff Pierce Clegg. He's named as a person that was there. Now, I don't know. I'm not saying that he's supporting Norris statements. If, from what we've heard, it's pretty compelling that this did take place. But Pierce gave campaign donations to Norris. So that's going to be a little interesting, right? To see, I would assume that a lawman is going to do the right thing. But I think that we have talked to enough people that all collaborated together. Is that the right word? Or they sync together with what they're saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I believe that it's got a lot of credibility. So if that's not bad enough, part of the claim that we are reading through is the allegation that they used county resources to attack her, to defame her, and to continue to shame her after she filed her tort claim.
Well, I wanted to go back to that because I think this is being a new conversation to a lot of listeners. Why is that a problem back in the beginning when it was a tort claim before it became the lawsuit that was filed this week? Why is it a problem what Sheriff Norris did by putting that on official letterhead and putting out that offering
reasons.
A prize? Why is that a
problem?
problem?
Well, number one, it's an abuse of his office. I mean, you have a constituent, a citizen that has filed a complaint, said, we believe that you have harmed us. You've done wrong. So rather than keeping your mouth shut and keeping the county exposure low by allowing your attorneys to handle it, the county attorneys, no, he makes it worse. He's got to poke the bear. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. Right. And he's using his position as sheriff to bully a woman. Now, let's consider this. Some people say, well, maybe she's just making the allegation and it's not real. And this happens quite a bit. I've experienced this firsthand. But here's the problem. When you open your mouth and you further bully somebody, you're not helping your case. In the role of sheriff, you are the highest law enforcement official in the county. The very last thing you do is somebody alleges that you bully them. You don't take your official letterhead and write disparaging things about the person that's your accuser. Because if Bob truly did these things, which a court's going to eventually and a jury's going to settle, well, then it's even worse because he truly is using his position as sheriff to silence somebody that he allegedly abused. And to me, that is very, very dangerous. It shows a lack of any kind of common sense, lack of integrity, a lack of leadership on and on I can go. It is horrible. And Bruce Matari is giving him horrible advice. DC Matari, Special Deputy County Commissioner Bruce Matari, you're giving him really bad advice, Bubba.
And for anybody who's new, that is because County Commissioner Bruce Matari, it is a known fact that he is the public relations manager for Bob Norris. So
he's got a special deputization.
Special deputization, public relations manager, continues in those capacities.
Former campaign manager.
And as he now is a sitting county commissioner. So you would think after all of this, with Bob Norris using the color of authority and the power of his office to put a bounty on a citizen's head, the lawsuit drops this week. So you would think, okay, he's going to remain... The guy's going to remain silent. Mm-hmm. He's like, he's surely he's learned his lesson. And especially in this 59 pages of lawsuit material, when he's been called out already for using those tactics and posting those as county press releases against the tort claim and against the accuser or the person accusing him. Learn his lesson. Except that then today we had an interesting
within 4
transpire.
hours. Yeah. Well, we don't know when it was filed, but I think it was made public. So
we're more seeing it today.
So here's what Norris does. I don't know if you have that ready to pull up or if we have that slide or not.
Okay.
Do you have it? Let's pull that one up. So he posts again on the official letterhead of the sheriff's office. Sheriff looks forward to fighting frivolous lawsuit. I look forward to fighting this lawsuit. Let's see if I can get to it. I look forward to fighting this lawsuit so I can fight Miss Collinson's baseless accusations. The legal process will allow me to initiate discovery and sworn depositions on those involved with her frivolous legal filing. I will expose the intent of this hoax. The claims are 100% false and are nothing more than local level lawfare to create doubt and uncertainty regarding my character and reputation. In my 30 years of impeccable public service, I've never been accused of any criminal wrongdoing, corruption, or sexual harassment until I decided to run for the public office. Beware of fake news and election lies directed at your sheriff.
Well, and
slow learner.
So that is on the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office official Facebook page. It originally showed up at first thing this morning, showed up on his Reelect Sheriff Norris page, but on Kootenai County Sheriff's Office letterhead. So bad enough.
We've already talked about the fact that he used,
So he's got a couple of different pages. He's got a Norris for Sheriff page that's him in his official capacity, and actually it's a profile, and he posts there also. So this thing is in triplicate. It's in multiple places, but definitely on official letterhead.
Well, I'd say that he's in a lot of trouble right now. I'm certain that their counsel has to be talking to the county and saying, hey, you're digging in worse and it's going to get very bad. But folks, again, this is why Bob Norris has no business being sheriff of this county. If for nothing else, the fact that he continually bullies people that he does not like, he loses his temper. We've seen it. We've shown the videos. The fact that he continually is combative all of the time. Anytime anybody says something and questions him, he immediately brands it as fake news. He lied about John Grimm. He claimed that John Grimm, failed sheriff candidate John Grimm, filed a similar tort. That didn't happen. My understanding is there's possible litigation that's going to start there as well. Bob Norris, you are ignorant when it comes to managing anybody. You shouldn't even be managing a Boy Scout troop. You have no business managing the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office. I don't even really know what you did. You've never produced a resume of any kind. He just hasn't. He said a lot of things. He said a lot of things that don't make sense when you have security clearances, top secret security clearances, when you're working with Homeland Security at the Joint Regional Intelligence Center, Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, and yet you're paying Reputation Defender $3,000 to scrub the internet from information you don't want the public to see. Things aren't lining up. I don't think that he was quite as high speed as what he says, but he clearly does not understand how to limit liability with the county. Now, he's running around telling everybody these drop our civil payouts from $300,000 a year to $30,000.
Slow down on this one a little bit, because I want people to talk about.
I don't have enough to be able to articulate everything. I'm just going to give a flyby because I don't have the numbers in front of me to competently talk. But to boil it down, it's this. There's a different accounting method on how claims are figured out. And iCrimp is now into the part of the equation. So the numbers that he's using It's kabuki theater. I'm going to work on that next week to come back to articulate, because you're exactly right. It needs to be exposed.
Good.
But Bob Norris, who has said from the day that I started that I was going to cost the county millions in civil loss, what's the word I want? I'm losing it. In civil rights violation lawsuits.
Yeah. It's a mouthful. Yeah.
He himself has proven over and over again that he costs the county a lot of money, and this is going to cost a lot of money. Also, when you think about a sheriff, do you want a sheriff that's retaliatory with his full capacity, or do you want a sheriff that has his eyes on the long view? I think this thing could have been completely avoided if he wouldn't have been grandstanding on that damn library book issue.
That's true.
This all starts from him grandstanding along with the Kootenai County Republican Central Committee, which, by the way, they knew that he had participated in this and that there was a tort claim. And yet in September, when they voted to re-endorse him, to put him on that little flyer that goes out for all the county residents to mark down the ballot RRR. I mean, Bob Norris was a known quantity back then, and you guys own this now.
They can't not do it because it's an unhealthy codependent relationship.
Yeah.
So they couldn't not do it.
But you have to have a sheriff that really, isn't focusing on antics like going to a library. Look, I myself do not want my children to be exposed to sexually explicit material. I just don't without my permission. That is my right as a parent. But Bob, if there was really a crime, and I know there are other ladies who brought this up to me at the very beginning, you're misunderstanding the real intent of what needs to be done. And that is, you go before your state legislators and your library boards, you demand the change. But if there is no crime, and Bob never found a crime, because I never heard of anyone getting charged with a crime, well, then guess what? It's nothing more than grandstanding. And you can argue all day long about the morality of it. We're not here to argue that morality. And this whole event started because everybody knows at the town hall, he was up there telling everybody about how great he was because he took a book out. Now, I've heard that he didn't actually take those books out, that it was another individual who grabbed the books and took them and gave them to him. Working that angle, don't know the full details of it, but it's not all as it seems. And this is what happens when you get an emotionally unstable individual that's running the county. I hope that this woman receives justice, because the folks that I've talked to that I believe are credible, they have all, it includes clergy. Now, I haven't talked to the clergy, but I've heard it said by people I trust that the clergy has confirmed it. But I've heard from others that wrote their statements, that's exactly what took place. And this sheriff's office has no place for an unstable man who will retaliate. And no matter what happens, even if the lawsuits are filed and the best practices are that he should be quiet and, start looking to behave himself, well, he just can't do it. And you can't have an out of control, unaccountable man acting as your chief law enforcement officer of the county. And I will never do that to anybody in the county.
You were exactly right. And I hadn't actually thought about this before you said it, but that it never would have moved to this position where Bob Norris allegedly said what he said in town hall in Cataldo that day, with the lawsuit filed, had he not been grandstanding on this library book issue. Does he not have other bigger things to be concerned about?
No, he's a deep stater. He really is a deep stater. He's conned the people here, those that used to have, respect and believe in the KCRCC. The KCRCC is not what it used to be. It has now become the antithesis of what they used to believe in. They don't believe in the principles. They just believe about their tribe. That's why they continue to endorse Bob, even though they could have left him off the ballot, off their endorsement card. And, they are not doing things the way Republicans used to say they were going to do things. And I think that it's very dangerous. If you don't like the way things are, do it the legal way, but don't grandstand and don't try as a politician to tickle the ears of your constituents. Be like me, Bob. Just say what you need to say and what you believe in, not what you think every little organization wants you to say. How many people don't like what I have to say, but I'm like, it's too bad.
Yeah.
And I don't go and say anything to somebody to get their vote because that's not right. But you can talk about things that unite people together, but you're not going to find me, trying to get the votes of the conservatives by coming in there and say, I'm going to take this out of the library.
Yeah.
How about make a posse?
Yeah.
How about go after human trafficking if you really want to do something
proactive and not in the last 2-3 weeks of a
By the way,
campaign.
I heard by my sources inside that they have recently, in the past couple weeks, had mandatory human trafficking training at the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office.
Yeah. You can't make this up.
Bob is so reactionary.
I want to say one more thing because we're getting ready to wrap this up. But the issue of Bob Norris going into the library, taking out the sexually explicit book and grandstanding on that is starting to get some national exposure. You were on the Brandon House live stream program today, and we will be, for those of you who didn't see that live, we will be sharing that for the ability to replay. But that is one of the subjects that came up because you have some national hosts that are now starting to see, okay, we're hearing about this Dan Wilson. It's starting to travel like to other states. And so they're looking at the contrast between what are you doing and who's this Bob Norris guy. And so that was one of the things that you were able to discuss on that live program today that turned out to be an interesting topic. Yeah. I have a feeling that's gonna catch on. That's a flame that's kind of gonna catch on and get more traction as we move forward.
Anybody that still doesn't know who Dan Wilson is, despite the website, despite the social media, the videos, the YouTube, 30 plus hours of YouTube videos. If you still don't know who I am and you still want to find out, I have an event tomorrow night at Best Life Coffee in Coeur d'Alene. What time is that? Is it 6:30? 6:30. So come on down there at 6 in Sherman. Yeah. A great store location, good people there. Come on down. We'll definitely answer questions there. To all my friends that have been recently messaging me, other men around the region who are also fighting their communities to be sheriff because they want the best for their county. They want their counties to be led the way the Constitution intended. They want to take care of their people. My hat's off to you. Stay strong and courageous, my brothers. The fight is real, but we did not descend from fearful men. And I want everybody else to be hopeful. Yes, dark times. Stock up on food, stock up on water. You need to be doing this every chance you get. Have enough there so that you can get by if stores are closed or if water isn't available. Do the due diligence, the hard work now. Don't do it because you're paranoid. Do it because you're ready for anything, prepared for the worst. And above all else, have hope. Stay strong and courageous because we did not descend from fearful men. We descended from men who understood the times. And they acted accordingly. They pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor. Guess what? It's now our hour to shine brightly. We've got the greatest tools inside the toolbox, the Constitution, our local laws. We can right this ship. It's a lot of hard work, guys. It means you have to get out and be involved. You have to vote. If you don't vote, you're part of the problem. You deserve whatever comes on you. The rest of you that are voting, I'm sorry.
No.
The rest of you that are voting, vote for Dan Wilson. I will serve honorably, and I will lead this county for only 2 terms. I've already said 2 terms, and I'm done. I'll give the majority of my salary, over $45,000, $50,000, back. I'm going to cap it at $99,000. I'm going to give the rest of my salary back to my volunteer services division. God bless you all. Stay strong.
And if you're just new to the Dan Wilson for Kootenai County Sheriff game, I showed you here a bit ago a brand new section on our website because we don't have a lot of time left where you can find quick facts on Dan Wilson and hear a 12-minute segment from Dan himself as to why he is uniquely and expertly qualified for this position of sheriff. I would say more highly qualified than Bob Norris himself. Thank you for joining us tonight on the Idaho Sheriff live stream broadcast with Dan Wilson for Kootenai County Sheriff. We're here every Wednesday night at 7 p.m., and we are going to continue these live streams as Dan is elected into office as a way of connecting with you in the community and getting information out to you.
Will they still be upset if I call it the Idaho Sheriff?
Probably. To watch archive broadcasts on our YouTube channel, that's The Idaho Sheriff. Go to YouTube to listen and subscribe. And for the Idaho Sheriff podcast, listen and subscribe wherever you get your shows. And podcast listeners watch live every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. because it's more fun and interactive. Learn more about Dan Wilson, his platform, policies, viewpoints, and endorsements at theidahosheriff.com. Thanks, everyone, for joining us tonight. Still got comments coming in. Thank you all. Thank you, Terry, Mike.
I'm going to say thank you to my friends Brad. Thanks to Bauer. Thanks to Taj. Thanks to Mark. Thanks to Dan. Good night, all. Time for a cigar.
We're out. Oh, yeah, it is.